fellow Toastmasters, welcome guests. I believe that we should all be conscious of the legacy that we're leaving behind us. I am very conscious of the legacy that I want to leave behind me, and that's a legacy not of money, but of loving kindness towards all the people who are in my life. As a grandmother, I get very disturbed when I talk to other grandmothers who say things like, I'm never going to send my grandson money again because he did not send me a thank you note. To think that you would let a rift come between you and a grandchild over a thank you note. And these same grandmothers seem to not get it that their child, their son or their daughter, taught that kid not to send a thank you note. But they're angry at the kid. We all have a legacy. We all get to choose the legacy that we're going to leave when it comes to loving kindness. And the good news is, we always have an opportunity to change that legacy at any time that we want to. I will give you a case in point. Back in the late 1800s, there was a man who lived in Europe who was about to leave a terrible legacy to the world. Well, he did leave a terrible legacy to the world, but he changed the concept of it. He was born into a family of chemists and munitions people. And during his lifetime, he invented nitroglycerin. He saw nitroglycerin as a tool to be used for the construction of rocks, to be used to burst through rocks and to build bridges and canals. He worked with nitroglycerin for years and he couldn't stabilize it. If you dropped it, boom. One of his brothers was blown up because he dropped a vial, blew up the whole factory. They lived in Switzerland. The people in Switzerland were so concerned that they made him practice everything he was doing in the middle of a lake so that if it blew up, he'd be in the middle of the lake. He worked with nitroglycerin, could not get it stabilized until one day he had an accident. And an accident is often how everything is invented. He dropped a vial, steeled himself for, that's it, and nothing happened. He looked down, and the vial of nitroglycerin had fallen into a box full of sawdust. And it was that way that he discovered that if he mixed silica with nitroglycerin, he could stabilize it. He then learned how to make a paste out of the tube, roll it up into tubes, make the tube, and he called it dynamite. Because he had invented dynamite, man still couldn't handle it. He had to invent the blasting cap. So he invented nitroglycerin, dynamite, the blasting cap. He had no intention of any of this being used for war, but we are people. He went on and lived his life as a very wealthy man until 1888, when his brother died and they both lived in Paris. And by mistake, all of the Parisian papers announced that he was dead. And they called him the Merchant of Death. They named all of his inventions. They told how many people had been killed because of all of his inventions. And this was the eye-opener for him, of printing in the paper that never should have happened. He never forgot that. And it so happened at that time, a woman came to live in his house as a housekeeper. Her name was Bertha Linsky. She stayed there for a short time, found out what he did for a living. She left and became one of the greatest peace activists of the time. They kept in touch. Now what he did, and his name is Alfred Nobel, what he did is at his death, he left money to be given every year, as we know, for chemistry, physics, medicine, literature, and peace. All of these were to be given to people who were doing good for the world. He was making a difference in the legacy that he left behind. If you had not heard that story before, and I had called his name Alfred Nobel, you probably would not have ever known that he had a terrible legacy behind his name. However, if you were ever lucky enough to get one, on the front of it is his facade of the medal. When you turn the medal over, there's dynamite, blasting dynamite. So they are giving homage to where the money is coming from. But Alfred Nobel made a conscious effort to change his legacy, and he did. Because most people who hear his name, they know the Nobel Peace Prize, but they don't know the other part of his legacy. You can do the exact same thing. Whatever your legacy is, I implore you today to look at the relationships that you have with your family and your friends. Don't let anything petty keep you from giving all of the love that you can to everybody in your family, because it's priceless. When I die, I want to die knowing that at least for 3 to 5 years, there will be a group of people who think about me and smile. And I hope you will do the same thing.